Hey guys, welcome to another day in quarantine. So the subject of today's video is how I'm staying sane during self-isolation. I realise that is a bit premature given that I'm only 3 days into my 9-day self-isolation, but you know, let's roll with it. Let's hope that this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. There are 5 things that I'll be doing to stay sane during this period. The other unrelated thing that I'm doing outside of that 5 is kind of wearing summer clothes because it is baking in this flat, absolutely baking. And even though I invested in a really good fan by a brand name that I shall not drop because they have enough money. Even though I did that, it's still pretty boiling. On to my 5 things. Number 1, exercise. I have sadly learnt the hard way in my life that I'm one of those people that if I don't get any exercise in my day, I will go a little bit insane. And given that the topic of this video is not going insane, that's something I'm really gonna try and integrate while self-isolating in a pretty small flat, but I have got a strategy. So shortly before I had to enter into self-isolation, I went on a trip away with a couple of friends. One of them introduced me to the Joe Wicks app. Now, I love Joe Wicks. I was doing his workouts during lockdown 1.0 all the way back in March 2020. He is such a happy, optimistic, practical, hardworking person. I've actually known him quite a bit throughout his career. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He is one of those people you meet and he is everything in person that he is on Instagram, on paper, on his videos. He really lives his brand, and when you're someone whose brand is as positive as Joe Wicks, that makes you into a really bloody good guy. So I was pretty keen to download his app, which I'm doing a 7-day trial of. I thought that it would be a really good opportunity to catch up with my mate Joe. And so the way I've been doing this, I am 3 days into that 7-day trial now. I've done it every day, so 3 days, not bad. The way that I've kept consistent with it is, this might sound a bit weird, but I'm pretty blind. When I get up in the morning, I'm -7 vision, short-sightedness, if that means anything to anyone. So I get up and my rule is, before I can even put my contact lenses in, I have to put my workout clothes on. And it means that by the time I'm sort of, you know, teeth brushed, lenses in, I am already tricked into working out before I do anything else. I think it's a big reason behind why I've felt really good the past couple of days rather than getting down in the dumps about being in quarantine. The way I see it, and I kind of framed it this way when I had to self-isolate at the start of the first lockdown when I had COVID, it's a non-negotiable. If I make it a non-negotiable, I don't even have to think about it, I just do it. And inevitably my day is better for it. So the second thing I'm prioritising is getting into flow. Most of you are probably already familiar with the concept of flow. It's that feeling when you get completely absorbed in a task, so you're not really aware of everything that's going on around you. And it's actually a really psychologically healthy state to get into because it is a really brilliant force for awareness, and it also quite often allows you to be creative if you're doing something creative, or do something that makes you feel really fulfilled on a sort of personal level. It's a really good way to use your alonement time getting into flow, because it often is used doing those activities that you're so absorbed in and you love so much that you don't feel lonely. So it's a good way to be healthily, positively alone. So according to Dr. Emma Hepburn, being in the state of flow is one of the most psychologically healthy states you can be in. And if you want to listen to more about this, actually, you can tune into my podcast episode with Emma on alonement. Just search on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever. And the really intriguing thing is, you can normally get into flow a whole lot easier if you're by yourself because you're not being distracted by other people. Anyway, so that's why I thought integrating flow into my self-isolation was a really good tactic because, you know, there's no one here anyway. And of course, flow in itself can often be quite a solitary state, but when I was speaking to Emma the other day on a panel for the Felixstowe Literary Festival, she was saying how actually it also taps into something that she considers very essential for positive mental health, which is that you give, because quite often with that state of flow, you might produce something creative, and then that might be something that you give out to the rest of the world. Case in point with this, I feel connected to all of you listening while I'm producing this. So it really is a lovely state to be in, alone, but it also gives that sort of wider connection to the world when you can put something back out. The other way I'll be getting into flow is tomorrow night I'll be doing a life drawing class with Brixton Life Drawing, and I'll be doing that online on Zoom. And that's just, it's really nice to have something that's a hobby. I don't do it professionally at all. If I'm honest, I'm not particularly artistic, but that's not the point. It's kind of nice to do something and not have all this sense of standards, am I good enough? It's quite psychologically healthy in a way to give up on all of that and think, look, I'm just doing this for me. And I do get that state of flow when I do those life drawing classes. So I thought that would be a really nice thing to integrate into the week. Now, all this flow stuff, it's great, but it is hard work and it is quite taxing on the mind. And I know that I'm someone, I'm sure many of you relate to this, who does find it hard to switch off, relax, and, you know, not really be actively trying to output anything. So I have said to myself that during this time, to prevent myself from, well, for want of a better word, burning out by trying to do all these things, I am going to integrate some relaxation through catching up with various bits of pop culture that I've been missing out on. Now, I know Love Island is out. I don't like Love Island. This isn't me being a snob, actually. I just find something about reality TV quite difficult. I know that I'm a person that finds it quite difficult if in situations where there's a really intense group dynamic, where there's a lot of gossiping and people commenting on whether someone should or shouldn't be doing something. And I know that that's compelling and it makes for great TV, and I think it's brilliant what Love Island gives in terms of adding to the cultural commentary around, you know, things like gaslighting. It's amazing. That whole conversation came out of Love Island a few years ago. I just don't like it, so I'm not going to watch it, which might be a self-isolation in itself. So one show I've been wanting to catch up with for a while is The Morning Show with Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston. My friend very kindly gave me the quarantine gift of her Apple TV login, and I'm pretty damn excited to switch off with that in the evenings. The other thing I'll be doing is reading Candice Brathwaite's Sister, which I've just got an advanced copy of, which I'm really excited. We have the same publisher and I've seen her at a couple of events and she's just so brilliant. The fourth thing I'll be doing is a lot of cooking. Now, I really adore cooking to the extent that I would probably cook 3 very big meals every day if I could. The constraints around this are time. I have other things to do, even in quarantine. And also the fact that at 5'2", I'm gonna be honest, can't really eat as much as my eyes tell me I can. Now, I'm someone who actually intermittent fasts. It's not for everyone, but for me, I really like to make big meals and make a big song and dance about them. So by restricting food to 8 hours in my day, it actually means that I can savor it and enjoy it a hell of a lot more, rather than always be cooking and it actually become mature after a while. It's just, you know, it's just something that suits my lifestyle. But this does mean that when I cook, I really cook. So this morning I made myself a really delicious breakfast salad. For those unfamiliar with the concept breakfast salad, it's kind of not really a thing, but my mother invented it, and I will be showcasing how I make my breakfast salads in one of these videos because it's a really brilliant concept and it actually is really delicious. So I made myself a big breakfast salad with toast and eggs. this morning, which was great. I have been snacking during the day on these pistachio mochi balls from Little Moons, which are just delightful. They were actually featured in last weekend's Sunday Times Style magazine. They are just so delicious. Yeah, I'm into it. And thankfully they come on Deliveroo, so I have access to them, do not worry. The other brilliant thing I have discovered for my recipes is BBC Good Food app, because it allows you to search for meals for one, or to filter the recipes down to one serving. It means that on Sunday I was able to plan out all my meals for myself and get excited about what I was going to cook and order the right groceries in, which was really useful to organise. And actually I've been out quite a bit the past few weeks, so it was actually quite nice to have a bit of a system and a routine and be able to plan my meals. It can actually be quite hard to plan out your meals sometimes when you're one person for the week, because there just ends up being so much food in the fridge. Given that I knew I was going to be in every night of the week because I ain't going anywhere, it was actually quite refreshing to get into that routine with myself. Cooking elaborate meals for yourself is a really nice thing because it's just a process of building self-esteem. You are enough to cook a half an hour meal for and then to sit and enjoy it mindfully, but the process itself is really nice because you are caring for yourself. That is, for me, a real form of self-care in the real sense, in the real actually nourishing sense. Finally, my fifth thing is connecting with other people, which might sound a bit strange given that this is a whole series about self-isolating and the power of being alone, but you need a balance in life. And the difficult thing about quarantine or lockdown, all the unnatural things we've been going through over the past year and a half, are that you don't get to have your usual balance. There's just no opportunity for it. Either you're stuck in a household with people 24/7 and it's too much, or you're isolated completely, and neither is right. So even though it's not perfect, it's really important to me to keep connecting with the people I love every day while I'm going through this process. For instance, I chat on the phone to at least a couple of people a day, and I've been really honest with friends actually and said, if you wanted to call this week, actually it's a really nice time to chat, I would really appreciate it. I think just owning that is really good, and sometimes people don't realise that might just be what you need. I think that the thing to remember is that the people who love you, they want to give you what you need, so you just have to ask them. You're doing yourselves both a favour if you can ask them. I also had plans to see friends on Wednesday night, which of course had to be postponed from my perspective, but very sweetly they said, why don't we do a virtual movie night? So they're going to hang out together, I'm going to hang out here, we're going to order the same takeaway, you know the drill, all the stuff we did in lockdown 1, but it's just, it's really, I think sometimes it's really spelling out that those things matter. I'd almost forgotten that they'd been such a important thing to do when we were all in lockdown. So it was really sweet of them to suggest. It's just remembering that you have that toolkit and using it. Just noticed this video is getting progressively more shadowy, so sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so these are my 5 things, macro habits I'll be doing this week to keep myself sane during quarantine. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. If you've been in the same position recently and have any really good top tips, please let me know in the comments below. For now, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this channel. If you want to follow along my alonement journey in self-isolation, then please subscribe on the button below. Bye for now!